Number 5, a gnome? Is a gnome a demon? I don't know. I find most gnomes benevolent, actually, but they could be. Our next clip looks like something out of the start of a low-budget horror movie, bit of an A24 vibe. I started watching this clip, and then as soon as it got going, I literally pressed my nose to my computer screen, so I hope you do the same. The clip was posted to the subreddit r/humanoid encounters. I definitely recommend it if you're into this sort of thing. There's a lot of really good humanoid encounters on there. And the poster explained that this has happened to their relatives, but they don't know what's going on. What we can see in the clip is bizarre. Someone is outside on their front porch, shining a light into the darkness, trying to find what is stalking them on their property. It can be a little hard to see, but behind the big rock, we see what looks like teeny tiny little hands peering out, trying not to be seen, playing a little game of know me hide and seek. Now, it can be hard to make out what exactly is going on in this clip, but it almost seems too like there might be more than one of those little creepy crawlers wiggling around back there. Now, the original poster suggested that these creatures are indigenous folklore of little people, which I think this is pretty interesting. Is a myth that is almost ubiquitous across the globe. Pretty much every people's, Ireland, Greece, the Philippines, New Zealand, Indonesia, and so many more all have stories of gnomes or elves or little mischievous people creeping about in the night. I just find it interesting that the whole planet all has that myth. Are they all wrong, or are gnomes real? Now, to put on our Scully hat for a second, get a little dowdy, this could extremely easily be somebody playing along for a prank, or someone just hiding behind a rock playing with a doll, poking it out. The only evidence we have that this is a gnome is OP's word that they swear this is a close family member and they wouldn't do this sort of thing. And you can go through the YouTube channel, you see it's mostly just family videos, so that does make sense. So I toss it over to you, my beloved YouTube commenter gang. You guys keep me young. I love those comments. Little people creeping around, or is this just a tall tale? Woof. I spent all night working on that pun. And if you're looking for more videos of ghosts and goblins and gnomes with this guy talking over them, I've got lots of that for you on our channel. Hit subscribe so you don't miss any of it. Make sure you ring that bell so you doubly don't miss any of it. But if you really cared about me, no, I'm not saying you do. You do it at the end of this video so you can watch all the other demons caught on camera first, because I got 4 more coming. Number 4, Dogman. Coming up next is this clip that was making the rounds around the spookier sides of the internet of an Instagram user going live. The user was complaining that he'd seen something strange earlier in the day, referring to a dogman that he thought he had seen. Now, that is different from a werewolf. A dogman is a fairly popular cryptid that gets mentioned every now and again, kind of like a goat man or a mothman deal. It's like a bipedal wolf, but it's not a werewolf, okay? If you think it's a werewolf, that's a different thing. Anyway, this guy was talking on live and heard something strange outside and went to go check. Let's go with him and let's go watch the clip. Now we can roll it again if you didn't see it, but at around a minute into the clip, when the user going live hears something strange and goes in to check on what it was, we see something rush by, if only for a second, that does not look like it's from this world at all. Looks like a tall creature running by on its hind legs. And I know it does give off a werewolfy vibe. I get it. It looks like a werewolf. I get it. But it's a dogman. It's totally different. I don't have the time to explain the difference, but a dogman and a werewolf are totally different. Now here's the thing. Either this video is one of the best fakes I've ever seen, and I watch a ton of supernatural videos, so I like to think I got an eye for it. It's got a great budget and actor who really knows how to sell a scare, or this is something that actually happened to a real terrified guy. It being on Instagram Live gives it a little bit more credibility, you know? It's harder to fake things in camera on live. It doesn't really seem like someone in a costume, it just looks like it was a dogman caught on camera. Okay, so realist, Scully mode, I don't know if I have one. Molder mode, that's a dogman. That's a dogman all the way down. Why don't you all let me know down below what we think is going on down there, and also if you have some insight on the werewolf dogman debate, lend a hand. I'm fighting a losing battle here. Number 3, strange things in Montana. Montana is sometimes called the treasure state. All the gold and silver that have been uncovered there, and also for lesser reasons for all the wild cryptid stories that come out of it. For seekers of the supernatural, Montana is a treasure trove, a real treasure state. Now, Deer Lodge is a city in Montana, and it's purported to be a hotbed of supernatural occurrences. Rumored to be home to creatures that defy classification and scientific convention and avoid the trail cams. until recently. A local rancher from Deer Lodge caught something bizarre on his land when something tripped the motion sensor on his trail camera. Now the black and white footage shows a blindingly bright glowing humanoid with what looks like an oversized and oblong head walking bizarrely in front of the camera. My first thought is that Simpsons episode has Mulder and Scully guest starring. The Simpsons episode with Mulder and Scully where Mr. Burns is glowing green through the woods. That's what I'm thinking of when I see this. Now this trail cam was miles away from any roads or trails, so there shouldn't be anybody creeping around. But there is. The rancher returned to the site of the photo and stood in the same spot and tried to mimic the composition of what he saw. When he posed himself against and compared the other image, he came out looking pretty human, compared to the sort of odd alien proportions of the glowing being, which also happened to be devoid of any features. So what was it? Now some believe it to be extraterrestrial life. Popular. The show Ancient Aliens, the most reputable name in alien news, took the trail camera footage to analyze for authentication. No alterations, manipulations, inconsistencies were discovered of any kind. Well, I don't know what's going on in there. Others wondered if perhaps the creature could be a Bigfoot or a Sasquatch or maybe even some other manner of currently undiscovered or unknown cryptid we don't even know about. This could be a first contact scenario. So what do you think was caught on this trail cam? An alien? A Sasquatch? Something dreadfully normal? We may never know, but it's fun to theorize. Number 2. The Sadako trampoline. Have you ever seen The Ring, or perhaps the original Ringu? Probably not, because if you saw The Ring, you would have died roughly 7 days after that, and then you wouldn't be able to watch all of these lovely videos on Top 5 Scary, and I'd miss you too much. The Japanese original is one of my favorite horror movies ever, which you probably notice if you watch this channel a lot, because I crowbar references in to Sadako roughly 3 times a week in these videos. Not my fault, she's the definitive ghost girl, love her in Dead by Daylight, big fan of her. I can't think of many things I've seen in my life half as creepy as that image of Sadako stretching herself out of the TV into the real world, the greasy, long, stringy black hair over her pallid face. Oh, well, exactly for what happens in this next clip, which is just as terrifying. Take a look. At first, it seems like someone filming some summer fun, until you get a better look at what appears to be a figure clad all in white, crawling out from under the trampoline, looking a lot like Sadako crawling out of that TV. Definitely has me scratching my head watching over again. Now, not everyone is as convinced as your easily convinced crypt keeper. One commenter on the video attempted to debunk it as a fake, lending a little bit of insight as a video editor. They said, "I'll guess that the ghost figure is a clip of someone standing up, which has been motion tracked and composited in with blurring and opacity. If the shot was stabilized, like I'm guessing it was, this would be fairly straightforward and easy. The camera shake could be added in digitally after the motion tracking is done to really sell the shot. I noticed a blur on what looks like the ghost's back as it stands up, and the jumper's leg passes over the figure, and this blur is whipped away. The clip stops as the figure is moving above the black netting, which is being used to conceal any editing artifacts." Well, okay, so it sounds like they know a lot about video editing, infinitely more than I do, and that's all well and reasonable, but could also be a ghost. Who's faking ghost videos? That's too much time in the day to be faking ghost videos. Number 1. The Jersey Devil. The infamous Jersey Devil is said to haunt the Pine Barrens of New Jersey. There are a ton of spins and variations on its origins, and if you're really curious, search Jersey Devil on our channel, nobody else's, okay? Don't need anybody else taking all those views. There's tons and tons of stories about it, but one of the most famous variations is that at a place called Leeds Point, during a thunderstorm in 1735, a Quaker woman gave birth. As the room flickered with light, the wind howled, and the poor mother who'd already raised 12 infants gave birth to the 13th. Now, some say the 13th was cursed by the devil. Some say she cursed it herself. But the story goes that this 13th child would not emerge normal, but with winged shoulders, a horse's head, cloven feet, and a wretched tail. It would soar out into the night, casting itself in the annals of folklore as the Jersey Devil. Now, over the years, there have been tons of sightings of the alleged Jersey Devil. At one point during the early 20th century, sightings would get posted in the hundreds in local newspapers. Now, our local newspapers don't reference cryptids as much as they used to. I'd like us to get back to that. But what we do have is Tik Tok capturing it, the modern day newspaper. Take a look at this wild footage that has been going viral across TikTok and Instagram. We see the horrific creature perched, and yeah, I'm not in the business of patronizing you. This is a CGI creature. It's impressively rendered, and they did a good job editing into the scene, but that background isn't Jersey, for starters. The problem is they made this look too good. The creature is too well modeled and animated in a broad daylight setting. You know, a really good cryptid fake would have had the camera a lot grainier and blurrier, and I personally would have set it somewhere a little more rural, a little more farmlandy, foresty, but it's entertaining nonetheless, right? I think we're too quick to cry fake. Number 5, weird deer. Coming up first today on our list of strange sightings is going to be this first clip, which was lovingly uploaded to TikTok with the caption, WTF deer. Now, of course, we all know what that means, but if you're not familiar with internet acronyms, WTF stands for, well, that's fantastic. And when you see the condition this deer is in, you'll probably say WTF too. In the clip, we can see a deer getting the heck out of Dodge, scampering out of the woods like somebody just flatlined Bambi's mom. It looks frightened, as if it knows something is up. Well, not even a few seconds after we're introduced to our deer, whatever has this deer so scared that it's causing to freeze up like a deer in headlights, a second deer comes running out with a head that's twisted every wrong way. The thing is checking its rear views while also looking forward. The snarled deer then charges forward into the night, hopefully to never be seen again. Now, when this was uploaded, the intent was that this was a skinwalker caught on camera. Skinwalkers, of course, being Dene or Navajo shamans who have been cast out of society for their practice of black magic and unsavory communion with spirits. They're outcasts from society, exiles. And they're traditionally said to be able to take the form of animals if they wish. They're considered witches, not cryptids, and it should be stated too that indigenous people don't particularly enjoy these stories being repackaged. Now, in this clip, it seems to me like this is a deer with a bad neck injury, or maybe a manufacturing defect of some kind, struggling to survive. Now, while anything on this big blue marble is possible, to me, it's more likely this is just a deer who's probably in extreme pain than it is a shape-shifting witch. Personally, if I could shapeshift, I would shapeshift into a deer that had a regular neck. You let me know what you'd shapeshift into. And if you're looking for more footage of shape-shifting animals, creepy crawlers, ghouls and goblins, ghosts, conspiracies, true crime, fake crime, and a whole lot more, Top 5 Scary has all of that and then some. Seriously, if you can think it up, we've got a video or two on it. So click on through, hit subscribe, please make sure to hit that little bell so you don't miss anything, but if you do me a favor, do that at the end of this video, because I got 4 more weird things found in the woods coming up for you right now. Number 4, friendly neighbor. Our next clip is one that maybe you've seen before if you're like me and spend the days trolling the web for supernatural content, as it's a pretty freaky one. Now, there's some skepticism all around this script, you know? I'm naturally a bit of a skeptic. I'm more of a Scully than a Mulder. But this next clip is pure weird. We can see someone or something crawling around in the woods. Now, it looks human, but isn't that the whole point, to look deceptively human? Well, whatever this humanoid is, we get an up-close and personal look at this thing crawling in an extremely comfortable way that doesn't look human. Humanoid moves like a zombie, moving like a puppet with tangled strings. Now, I would think a shapeshifter, if they got caught by someone, would transform into a wolf or a cougar or maybe a hawk and get on out of there, right? And maybe we're catching this creature at a bad time, mid-transformation, as we see the humanoid attempt to build up a bit of momentum by getting down on all fours and trying to accelerate forward. Now, I do feel like I have to address the elephant in the room here. I don't want to talk down to you or play ignorant. Now, this could be a shape-shifting witch of legend, but we should also address the very real possibility that this clip of someone shirtless walking around on all fours behaving extremely odd in what looks to be a backwoods part of Virginia, maybe. This could very easily be someone on substances, or all of the substances, entirely possible by the way that little walk is going. This looks like there is a cocktail of things going on in that head right now. Whether or not this is a supernatural threat or a chemical one, we might not know, but I think we can all agree, completely horrifying, and I would prefer to never have to interact with that person. Number 3, that ain't no bug. And coming in right at our sweet little middle spot, here's a clip that I didn't think was the best, but I also didn't think was the worst. It's a perfectly neutral clip, perfect middle child of a clip. In this very short clip, we see someone driving through the backwoods late at night, real children of the corn kind of situation. Nothing but big stalks for miles and miles around, which is perfect actually, all the better for creatures of the night to stalk you in. That pun was a bit laborious, but we got there. In the clip, it seems like the driver notices a buck acting a bit strangely, until the camera zooms in ever so slightly, and you realize immediately, Just like the title said, that ain't no book. We see a bizarre creature on its hind legs running far, far away from the person filming, which I'm sure the person filming wasn't upset about at all. Now this creature looks the most like what I think people imagine a skinwalker looks like when they imagine it. Some wretched mix of flesh and animal skin running through the night hunting for prey. I'm actually not sure what this could be. I mean, it could be somebody again on some substances running through the woods late at night. A lot of these I've always got a possibility for what these creatures could be. I like to think I have a reasonable explanation for everything, but this, I don't know. All I can tell you for sure is that ain't no buck. It's an unexplained sighting caught on camera, after all. You want me to try and explain the unexplained? That's the whole purpose of it. They're unexplained. You simply can't explain them. Number 2, the Corvid. Coming up next on our list of strange sightings of shape-shifting shamans is this video uploaded to TikTok of a raven that's got people saying, "No more!" Like nevermore? Quoth the raven, Edgar Allan Poe? I don't know. Sometimes I'm struggling for jokes. It was uploaded to TikTok by user Lindsay Ivan, and I don't know, something about her, she seems familiar, like I've heard her name before. Anyway, in the video we get an up-close and beautiful personal view of a beautiful raven with a very unnerving voice. It sounds as if it's got the voice of a human. Now, skinwalkers are said to be shape-shifting witches who can take the form of any animal they please and can mimic many voices. So is that what's happening here? Is that what this footage is? You sure that's why? Well, this next video I wanted to include solely because I wanted to debunk it, 1, and 2, take it as a small window of education for something I am very passionate about. Ravens are corvids, birds that are known for having hooked beaks and bristly feathers. They're usually black, although the blue jay is a very famous notable exception. Crows, ravens, magpies, jackdaws, jays, these are all corvids. Now, what makes corvids so interesting and one of my favorite kind of birds out there ever is they are unbelievably intelligent, with many ornithologists suggesting that ravens and crows, not only the smartest birds on the planet, but very well maybe like top 5 smartest animals out there. Among crows and ravens' many parlor tricks is that they're able to remember human faces. They understand the concept of causality. A raven understands what cause and effect is. Ravens can count, they've been shown making tools, they give gifts, they solve puzzles, and they can mimic sounds they hear with alarming clarity like a parrot. Everyone thinks of a parrot as a bird that can talk, but a crow and a raven can do it as well. So this beautiful bird in this clip is showing off his vocal range by mimicking human speech that he'd heard in a wondrous display of intellect from one of nature's most staggeringly impressive creatures. Or, of course, it could be a shape-shifting warlock of Dene legend that is grossly misattributed to almost every single random encounter on TikTok because the name sounds cool and people don't research things. Could be either one. Number 1, a scream in the woods. Coming up in the final spot today in our list of possible shapeshifters we just can't explain on camera is this viral video that's been making the rounds for its unexplained and terrifying nature. Now, this clip was originally uploaded under the name Strange Sounds While Mushroom Hunting. That sounds lovely. By user Tomorrow's Garden. Clicking through on the channel, we can see that they mostly stick to naturalist content, and when they're not doing that, they're reviewing the exciting world of stud finders and mouse traps. So supernatural hoaxes doesn't really seem to be a big part of their channel's identity, which is what makes this clip that much more real. In the clip, we see someone walking around a beautiful little forest as the user is checking out what's new with the local mycelium. Interrupting the bird song and the other beautiful sounds of the forest is a shrill scream that seems like it's come directly from hell, piercing not just your ears but your soul. Downright agonizing. Let's roll a clip of just that shrill shrieking. Pretty scary, right? Sounds like something that has crawled its way out of the depths of the pits of Tartarus and is deeply upset about it. Now, what unnerves me is how much you can maybe this doesn't make sense, hear a human scream inside the animal scream, if you follow me. The best part of this video though is that after the scream peters out, realizing that he's probably now hanging around somewhere where some sort of horrific flesh beast is lingering, he announces to himself very quietly, "I think it's time to go now." He says it so quietly and normally, it's hilarious. Unlike every horror movie guy ever, he just calmly decides to get out, and that's why he survived to upload this video, and Tomorrow's Garden, we thank you for it.
Cryptids are extremely elusive creatures, and when someone manages to get clear footage of one, I get excited. Clifford Lebrec claimed he'd been watching a creature for about 2.5 months on the outskirts of Des Moines, Iowa back in 1977, and over the years, there was only more and more sightings. So one night, Lebrec decided to fire at the creature. Allegedly, it was about 25 feet away from where he was parked in his pickup truck, and two creatures walked up from behind a hedge. One stopped, but the other went to a woodpile, bent down, and started to eat it with its back towards Lebrec. So he stayed in the car, waited for it to turn around, but it just kept on gnawing at the wood. So finally, he decided to fire at it from behind, and when the animals turned and saw him, he got crazy buck fever and just couldn't do it. So as it came towards him, he couldn't really get the window rolled up fast enough. It was apparently really close, and Lebrec was obviously petrified with fear as the creature advanced. Allegedly, it loomed over the car, and it was about 8 feet tall. It reached through the window, grabbed Lebrec, and shook the daylights out of him. Yeah, it was a very strong creature. He could feel its face about 6 inches away, and to quote him, he was in a state of tremendous fear. He could feel his whole body shaking. He felt a sensation of being twisted around and pushed onto the floor. The creature was angry, obviously, because you tried to fire at it, and then our witness passed out. When they regained consciousness, it was gone. Lebrec, who owned a truck brokerage firm, is also president of Bigfoot Research Incorporated. He's been researching Bigfoot reports for about 49 years, and the thing that attacked him was terrifying and enormous. He said that after the attack, his memory was kind of vague because of his terror, since the thing was shaking him around, so he decided to visit a hypnotherapist, Eric Elster of Knoxville, Iowa, who was the expert in our situation. Elster stated that he hypnotized Lebrec so that he would go back to the time of the attack, and Lebrec was able to design and construct a life-size model of the creature based on the details that came to him under hypnosis, as well as what he obviously consciously remembers. So he made a model of fiberglass that was covered in artificial hair that allegedly represented a typical young adult male. The model stands about 7 foot 6 inches, and if it were a real creature, would weigh like 600 to 1,000 pounds. And its feet, of course, are what gives the creature its name. They're about 18 inches long, 9 inches wide, and they leave a flat impression in the ground, like 2 inches deep. Allegedly, Bigfoot's fur is dark brown in color, and it has a very foul smell. So on this model, the shoulders measure about 4 feet across, the arms, which are about 47 inches long, reach down to almost the creature's knees, its biceps, 27 inches around this fun area, and the massive neck has a circumference of 40 inches. According to our witness, Bigfoot can make a wide variety of sounds. It can mimic other animals, but its typical voice is a low, guttural growl. But sometimes it can sound like a hooting owl or even a barking dog. Lebrec estimates that there may be as many as 5,000 Bigfoot creatures in the United States and more in Canada. And Lebrec believes that no remains are ever found of Bigfoots that have passed because they either bury or hide their dead. And during Lebrec's search for our elusive creature, he has investigated numerous reports of sightings. Allegedly, he searched for 15 years before finally meeting Bigfoot face to face. So this creature obviously exists, and it's thriving at great numbers and increasing all the time. Lebrec thinks that the Bigfoot is a very intelligent creature and tries very hard to avoid contact with humans. It's almost as if the beast has some form of primitive telepathy or instinct that warns it when a man is nearby. But despite the attack, Lebrec is still not afraid. He's like, I harvested what I sowed. It's like picking a fight and getting the heck knocked out of you. In November of 2009, Greg Warner and his team reported on and supplied photographs of a giant snake event near the jungle city of Iquitos in Peru. The photographs showed a trail at least 5 meters wide, and they also provided video evidence to support their photos and eyewitness accounts. So this creature is believed to be a yakumama, which is an enormous serpent believed to be the mother of all aquatic animals. According to legends, this creature would suck up any living thing that passed within 100 steps of it. So to protect themselves, local folks would blow on a conch horn before entering any body of water, believing that the creature would reveal itself if it was present. So the video we have for you today is in Spanish, but I managed to find a translation of what happens so we can dissect it. So in the human settlement 24 de Mayo, the dwellers got into a panic when they saw that on the enormous swamp located at the back part of the settlement, there was a huge silhouette of dragged grass and mud that was clearly visible, and they attributed the event to the creature. Although some folks were like, no, it's a gigantic boa and it just guards a small pond. Well, one eyewitness claimed it started to move like this, circulate until it found a way out over there. And you cannot say there is a channel over there, as you can see it was plain. And this is the trail that it made. Look, it looked like it wanted to get out that way, but turned over there. It took all this way, it took all this. If you keep walking that way, you can see it remained like this. but before it was not like that. Look, this is clearly further evidence that the black boa, yakumama, sakamama, and minhokao are one and the same in terms of cryptid classification. All regular description and photographic evidence points to this conclusion, but that doesn't make it any less scary for those of us who are terrified of snakes. An interesting video has emerged from Mexico that shows what appears to be a small bipedal humanoid scurrying across a road. So this video was reportedly captured in January of 2024 by a security camera at a farm in the city of Monterey and subsequently offered online back in May. A dark form exited from a wooded area on the side of the road, then quickly made its way across the dirt path, and then it vanished back into the brush. Simpson style. Many believe it to be sightings of Duende, a humanoid figure of folklore that is comparable to goblins, dwarves, gnomes, or even leprechauns. So what do you think it is? Fun fact, in Spanish, Duende originated as a contraction of the phrase dueño de casa, effectively master of the house. Or it could also be derived from some similar mythical being of the Visigoth or Swabian culture, given its similar looks with the tomte of the Swedish language, which is depicted as a mischievous spirit inhabiting a dwelling. Turns out, Spanish folklore is rich in tales and legends about various types of duendes. Anjanas, buscosos, dianos, enanos, elfos, hadas, gnomos, nubaros, and many others. On April 2nd of 2024, TikTok influencer Nightmare Fuel uploaded a strange 1-minute video they had received from an unnamed fan. And in the comments they wrote, a camera was set up facing the river in Namorong after many people said they saw spirits in the river. And this is a river where many people have lost their lives over time. And the camera captured this, an unbelievable sight. And we have it for you. So some folks believe that they were referring to Lake Namor on Lolobau Island in Papua New Guinea. No date is given, though it's thought to have been fairly recent, and it's kind of unclear what exactly the creatures in the lake are, but they do appear to have large eyes that upon surfacing reflect the light. They swim about, submerge, emerge, and occasionally look at the camera. The activity seems fairly harmless, all things considered. YouTuber Maximum Fear featured the footage on his channel in a video titled Newest Disturbing Creatures Caught on Trail Cam 2024 and wrote, at some point we can even see the eyes on the creatures reflected. They just slowly swim around with their long straggly hair covering most of their face and head, and their pale white skin is slightly seen beneath. So a lot of folks are like, what could this be? Because once again, the river has a dark past, and folks think they might be paranormal manifestations of the lives lost, or they could actually be the creatures that are responsible for a lot of the disappearances and deaths. Maybe the land is cursed, maybe these are some sort of weird evil entity. No thanks. And finally for today, we have a video from August 2014 that was taken near Port Renfrew in British Columbia, Canada, and according to the witness transcript, it's something to see. Wendy and her husband were driving back from Port Renfrew, and there were a lot of creeks and streams flowing beside the road where they were driving, and Wendy suggested going for a little hike beside one of those streams. And while the duo were doing so, she's like, let's go further into the forest. She was feeling adventurous. So about 200 feet in, they spotted something ahead of them. And at first they were like, maybe it's a bear. But then they're like, no, it's a little more upright, kind of interesting looking, has a bit of a cone type head. So you watch the video, you decide. Allegedly there was kind of a musty smell in the air that wasn't strong, and the duo are adamant that this creature was not a bear.
Number 5. Mason County. The legend of the Mothman originated in the town of Point Pleasant, Virginia in the late 1960s. Now that was a long time ago, and since then, the town of Point Pleasant has really welcomed the Mothman and celebrated him with festivals, merchandise, costumes, folk songs, and just about anything else you can think of. He's like the Mickey Mouse of Virginia over there. The people of Point Pleasant treat him like he's a folk hero. But is he still out there? While to some, the story was never anything more than an urban legend, there are others who believe he may still be flying above Point Pleasant. Now, although sightings of him have dwindled in recent years, he's never truly gone. Recently, a man was driving along State Route 2 and he saw something jumping from tree to tree. Like any of us would, he pulled over his car to stop and take some photos. Now, the man declined to be interviewed about this at all, but he was adamant that he hadn't doctored these pictures in any way. In these pictures, we can see some strange looking thing shrouded in shadow and night. The creature has wings with pointed tips and long legs bent at an inhuman angle. Now, while some doubt that the photos are anything meaningful, Point Pleasant locals insist that the Mothman is very real. I mean, he's their hero after all. There are just too many sightings around Point Pleasant for some locals to deny him anymore. One local, one Carolyn Harris, is the owner of the Mothman Diner, and unsurprisingly, she's adamant that the namesake is very real. First responders and the sheriff's department made her a believer after their reports. Now, Jeff Wamsley, owner of the Mothman Museum in Virginia, argues that with modern technology, it's impossible to tell what is real. Well, Regardless if the pictures are real or not, we can all agree that the legend and the celebration of Mothman is alive and well, and definitely serves the town of Point Pleasant well. If you're looking for way more clips of cryptids and all sorts of strange things coming out of the West Virginia woods, we've got loads of that and then some on Top 5 Scary. Even got tons and tons of stuff about the Mothman if that's your trick. Make sure you hit subscribe. If you would do me the favor, hit the little bell as well so you don't miss a single video that we upload. But you gotta do that at the end of this video if you wouldn't mind, because I got 4 more Mothman sightings coming up for you right about now. Number 4, Luke Pilgrim. Coming in for our next entry is going to be this clip posted to TikTok by user The Luke Pilgrim with a caption, "Scare warning, we survived an encounter with the Mothman." Let's take a look at this clip, why don't we? And mind the scare warning, it might be scary. We can see someone outside, presumably a young pilgrim, playing, having a good time, and the youngster points up to something in the sky, something capturing their eye. What is it? A bird? A plane? Superman? No, something far more ominous. The camera pans up and you get a face full of the Mothman in clear view flying right towards you. Absolutely terrifying. Scare warning, very correct. Now, I'm sure you're not stupid. I'm another story. I have a comedy writing degree. But since the TikToker's bio mentions that he's a North Georgian VFX artist and filmmaker, I would say it does seem a bit convenient that a VFX artist managed to land a perfectly framed and lighted sighting of a cryptid on camera. But I also like playing along with the fun here on Top 5 Scary, so even though this is CGI, let's just take that out of our brain, whoop, throw it that way, and let's just play along, eh? In this clip, we see a more threatening Mothman who is very real and not a computer. And a lot of people think of the Mothman as a sort of benevolent figure, in part because in recent years the public image of the Mothman is that of a playful trickster, a very marketable little mascot, made into merchandise, statues, costumes, so on, so on. But when the story first came out, the Mothman was described as a violent predator and whose sight was a foreboding warning of incoming danger. So, if anything, this clip of the very real Mothman is more accurately depicting it than most. Number 3, Dark Cauldron. Coming in at the number 3 spot today is going to be this clip that was also posted to TikTok. That's where he is these days. Now, we know of Mothman as being sort of an unofficial symbol of Virginia. They gotta put him on the flag. Mothman is Point Pleasant's most famous resident, but if this next TikTok is anything to go by, he might have been struck by a bit of wanderlust and needed to stretch those giant wings and soared across the pond all the way to England. Now, this clip claims that someone has seen the legendary Mothman all the way in England, in the town of Harrogate, outside the Yorkshire Hotel. Sounds like he packed his bags to scare locals in a new country. Probably gets boring scaring the same old Virginians over and over again. Point Pleasant's only so big, he's probably scared everybody by now. Should we roll the clip? Yeah, okay, we should probably roll the clip. So in this clip, we can see someone filming outside the lovely Yorkshire Hotel. Looks real classy, let me say. Looks very unobstructed by cryptids. You can start to see some strange lights in the sky, and in any other video, that's what we would have been focusing on in case they were aliens. But before we can analyze any possible UFOs, we see something familiarly leathery with giant bat-like wings soaring across the night sky. The caption mentions as well that the video was filmed at 3 a.m., which traditionally is the witching hour, and is when some paranormal enthusiasts believe the veil between our world and their world is weakest. Could that have been part of why the Mothman was captured here? Of course, I hear you say, Taylor, that's just another CGI Mothman. And I know most likely it's just a CGI Mothman for views, but I don't know why anyone would do that. Why would anyone lie about something on the internet just to get clicks? What kind of person would you have to be to do something like that? So I said, get it out of your head. Take that little CGI thought, get rid of it. These are real Mothman clips I'm showing you. Everything I've shown you has been scientific and very real. And talking about the Mothman is different than talking about UFOs or Ed and Lorraine Warren, so I'm not gonna complain. Number 2, Slapped Ham. Little shout out for Slapped Ham. He's also in the Scary Videos game. He doesn't know my name, but I do watch your videos, Slapped Ham, so hey, shout out. Coming in next is this clip posted to Slap Ham's TikToks. As a brief aside here, I noticed TikTok is really the only place on the internet Mothman sightings are still happening. I don't know if Mothman's getting shyer, if he's been photographed too much, but it seems like it's getting harder and harder to find that guy. You can't find him on YouTube anywhere. TikTok's the only place. Maybe baby boomers aren't on TikTok. Well, it could also be because the Mothman has been getting more elusive as well. And the last point, we saw him fly out of his hometown of Point Pleasant to explore all the beauty that the Yorkshire Hotel has to offer. And if this next clip is any indication, he's a frequent flyer, because it seems like he's also managed to fly all the way down to Asia. Because this TikTok claims he's been spotted in Beijing. Now this next clip I also think could be considered UFO footage since it's very difficult to make out what's going on here. Come to think of it, actually wouldn't most recordings of the Mothman technically make him a UFO since he's an unidentified flying object? That's something to philosophize about in the comment section for me. We see something glowing bright blue, and ethereally bright light is seen flapping through the sky, quite honestly looking like a glowing moth. Now, it's very hard to tell what is going on in this clip because the footage is like primitively low quality. Does it bother anyone else deeply that in a world where every single living human being carries a professionally high quality camera in their pockets at all times, that there are so few good videos of cryptids or UFOs or any of this stuff, even photos? All we see is just random blobs of black dots on grainy backgrounds. We've been doing this since the 1970s. We're still squinting at the same black dots in the sky. Did technology ruin this? Did it reveal too much and turn all of our myths and monsters into forgotten folklore ruined by the advent of technology? Have we gone too far that we've all lost our sense of wonder? Can we ever close Pandora's box? Number 1. Short blockbusters. The answer is of course not. We're in the information age now, and no amount of misanthropic soliloquizing about the nature of humanity will undo that. I could lecture you about the nature of cryptids and the unknown being quietly defeated by cell phone culture all day, or I could find some fun clips of the Mothman on TikTok. We could all play pretend, and we could all have a ball of a time. Our last TikTok up for today is this clip uploaded by the account Short Blockbusters. Now, the name and the bio that says I animate dreams and nightmares does make it seem like this might be a CGI video, but hey, Avatar 2 is the best movie I saw last year, and that was a CGI video, so there's nothing wrong with CGI. I think we should stress less about whether something is real and focus more on whether something is fun. Roll the clip whenever. I'm doing great today. The Mothman has captured the attention and the hearts of people for decades, and I'm genuinely kind of curious why, and I'll send this to an open debate. I really would like to hear from all of you in this one. What is it specifically about this cryptid in particular that captivates people so much? Why does the Mothman last the test of time? Will it continue onwards for future generations? Will your grandkids be watching Mothman videos on whatever app overtakes YouTube someday? While we may never prove or disprove a physical Mothman in our lifetime, I think we don't need to worry about it. What is for sure is that the legend of the Mothman will exist as long as there are those to tell his story, like yours truly, and I'm not going anywhere, sorry to say. Number 5, James May Pompeii. James May Pompeii. James May Pompeii. I'm going to be saying that for the rest of the day. James May is a renowned British television host, notable for decades of service to the BBC, zipping cars around exotic places. After Top Gear quietly came to a mutual end that all parties agreed on in 2015, May continued globe-trotting, with less companions and less motoring, in a new show called James May, Our Man In. Well, when our man went to Rome to see Pompeii, it seems he accidentally caught a specter on tape in the old city of Pompeii. You watch this clip and tell me what you think, because I think this one is all kinds of freaky and might be one of the better ghost clips I've seen in a minute. That's why we're starting with it. As May is talking, a lone figure can be seen crossing the otherwise empty street before seemingly evaporating before your very own eyes. It's eerie, I ain't gonna lie. An unsettling coincidence is that the ghost seemingly appears as May is talking to the audience, reminding us that even though Pompeii has found life as a tourist destination, it's still one of history's biggest mass graves. Now, I like to play skeptic a little bit, like, you know, I'm more Scully than I am Mulder. This ghost footage is pretty striking, but we can't cross out the possibility that this could just be something as boring as a camera glitching out or someone trying to scrub out a pedestrian in the background of an otherwise clean shot. Although if that's the case, why so much of the figure left behind? Could this be a former citizen of Pompeii, still trapped through the daily loop of her everyday life after the volcano claimed it and changed their lives forever? Or could this ghost be the ghost of Jeremy Clarkson's career, hanging around James May? That one's too mean. Too far. Anyway, we may never know. Let me know down below in the comments what you think of this one. And if you're looking for way more ghost videos, you already know I'm about to tell you top 5 scary is where to be. And if ghosts aren't your jam, we have got just about everything freaky under the sun and above the sun you could possibly imagine. Cryptids, conspiracies, aliens, true crime, fake crime, baby, we got it. If it's spooky, we've done a video or 3 on it. So hit subscribe, hit the bell, and don't miss a single second. But do it after the end of this video, okay? We got way more ghosts coming up for you. Number 4, the insane asylum ghost. This next clip is one that is going to have the hairs on the back of your neck standing on end. This was originally posted to the Ghosts subreddit. A user by the lovely name of Random Doge 47 posted that she'd recently visited the Heartwood Insane Asylum, just as a visitor. Don't want to make that clear, not a patient. It's an abandoned mental facility in the UK that's long been thought to be the home of malicious spirits and poltergeists of former patients who never managed to find peace and drift off towards the afterlife. Definitely given bad vibes looking at pictures of this. Pictures of abandoned hospitals give me the creeps. Something bad. You can just tell nothing good has ever happened here, and nothing good will continue to happen here. Take a look at this footage. In the clip, we see someone or something in the top window seemingly noticing that they're being recorded and then hurriedly shutting the window to sneak off into the night. Now that's pretty darn creepy, but you could be thinking, wow, what if it's just the Redditor's friend or something and they schemed this hoax by preparing somebody. They had somebody climb up in there. Well, the place is locked up and the interiors are dilapidated in a state of serious disarray, and it's all collapsed in on itself and couldn't really support anyone up on the top floors. The windows are locked and the Redditor said there was no easy way for someone to get in. So what is happening here? Is this the ghost of a former patient? Someone who managed to sneak inside and is squatting inside an abandoned insane asylum? 3 raccoons in a trench coat pretending to be human and hiding out in an abandoned asylum where they live and go on little adventures? It could be, and that's what scares me. But you let me know what you think this could be, okay? Number 3, security footage. Now we got ourselves another clip from the Ghost subreddit. What can I say? If you want to look at ghosts, it's a pretty good place to go. They're all right there. This one was posted to us from user Ryman8 with the caption, "Something set off the security footage on one of our properties. Nothing was stolen. This is the footage." Now you take a look for yourself at the spine-tingling footage. This is one of those ones I had to watch twice, so don't feel bad if you gotta scoot back 30 seconds to watch it again. Let's roll it. At first, it might just seem like a frame at a Skinnamarink. I had to really press my nose up to the monitor to see what was going on here. But you can see the faintest silhouette of a figure creeping through in the background, seemingly walking through thin air, barely able to make it out. And then when you see it, you're probably never gonna sleep again as you see that ethereal little shape moving through the room. Now, the poster claims that the front door to the property was open, and that is what triggered the alarm and triggered the security footage. Who could have done that if not for this malevolent spirit? One commenter suggested that it was possible that the energy dispelled by the ghost could have been what set off the alarm and opened the door, and that's why it looks so spectral and ethereal on the footage. What do you all think out there, my internet comment hive mind? Is this some real proof of something from another world walking into ours? Or is this just some dust and light hitting the camera at just the right angle and our eyes filling in the details we wish we were seeing? Please do let us know down below. Doing some digging on this one, the Redditor returned to the same thread a year later and reported that nothing else like this had ever happened, and that he'd researched evidence of any spirits in the local area or on this property and couldn't find anything. So this could just be a one-off incident, or it could be something much more sinister. It could be. I can say whatever I want when I'm talking into a camera. I could say that all of these are aliens if I wanted to. I'm in control here. Number 2, the Ghost Palette. Coming up next on this list, we have got some more weird security footage to tickle your viewing pleasure. There's no ethereal figures walking around in this one, but it is pretty spooky nonetheless. This footage was posted by someone who used to work in a meat packing plant, but presumably left when they saw this security camera footage and found out the joint was haunted. In the video, we can see a pallet jack on the CCTV freaking out, seemingly being pulled or moving itself around the warehouse. I've got to say, haunting aside, the atmosphere of this particular meatpacking plant already seems scary. You know, it's flickering lights, cold looking floors. I'm pretty sure this is the meat plant where Jigsaw was playing his funny little games. Back to the topic at hand. What is going on with that pallet jack? There's no reason for it to be moving. There's no wind or anything to push it, and it looks like someone is manually moving it around, if not a little awkwardly. Could it be a ghost who got itself hired? Or is it the ghost of an employee of the meat plant who's still stuck working here? I gotta wonder if ghosts have rights or like a ghostly union, because it does seem like the ghost is the only one on shift right now, and that can't be safe. Where's his ghostly supervisor? Is he making sure he's taking his 30? Now, some commenters with more experience in warehouse settings have suggested that the pallet jack malfunctioning like that could be faulty wiring, a loose axle, or something that could be causing it. There could be all manner of reasonable explanations, or it could be something supernatural sneaking into our world. So what do you think, my comment gang? Is this just a pallet jack on the fritz, or is this a ghost caught on camera? And finally, number 1, mystery orbs. Our last clip today comes to us from the subreddit High Strangeness, which I cannot recommend enough if you like paranormal and bizarre, inexplicable content on the internet, and I kind of suspect you do because you're watching this video, aren't you? But don't spend too much time there. Remember to come on back to Top 5 Scary. Posted to us by user Swingset Superman, this ring light footage has been puzzling viewers as they try to figure out what's going on and what was caught on camera. You take a look for yourself and you see if you got any luck putting this together. There appears to be a series of super bright lights floating outside around the front door. Now that might not be that odd, but it's the way they move I can't stop focusing on. They just don't seem like they're from this world, you know? They float around as if all the dots are connected in some way, moving in coordination. At first I thought they might be bugs, fireflies or something, but I ain't never seen no bug move together like that. If anything, I think we can qualify these strange dots as a UAP, an unidentified aerial presence. That's what I see at first. It seems like a fleet of little minuscule UFOs, although maybe I have just made one too many UFO videos recently, and I think anything strange in the sky, regardless of height, are UFOs. Now, one commenter suggested these could be fairies or pixies of some sort, which would be interesting. I don't think we really talk much about fairies or sprites on the channel much at all. We always talk about scary supernatural things. Makes sense, we're Top 5 Scary, but I would love to talk about a fairy sometime. So I send it off to you, internet commenters. Take a look at the clip, look up the original source if you'd like, and you let me know what you think was captured by the camera that day. Maybe it was just a ghost dropping off a ghostly Uber Eats order. Number 5, La Llorona. Have you ever heard the legend of La Llorona? If you're a Top 5 Scary fan, most likely, because I know for a fact I've mentioned it once or twice in a video before. It's a very commonly repeated old folktale, and it's shown up in countless movies and TV. It was just made into a movie that was connected to the Conjuring series. But if you missed out on all of that, the short version of the legend of La Llorona is a Spanish ghost who is said to have cast her own offspring into a river and drowned them in a manic fit. We've all had bad days. When she realized what she had done, she cast herself into the water as well, but was cursed to spend eternity searching for her young wherever a body of water is found, calling out into the night, known for a wail and a cry. It's why she's called La Llorona, the weeping woman. She appears all in white with long black hair and is recognized for her cry and appearance. Take a little sip. You entertain yourself back there for a minute. Now think about all of that while we watch this next clip, posted to Reddit titled, "My mom is in Mexico right now." And tell me if this doesn't make you think of La Llorona just a little bit, or like a lot bit. While walking late at night, a traveler comes across a strange white figure that seems clad in a long robe or a dress, moving in a way that makes them seem like they're not of this world. This white dress shining through the otherwise dark night. So what do you think, my faithful YouTube commenter audience? Is this proof of a ghost caught on camera? Proof of an old legend walking among us? Or is someone just putting the effort into a really complicated hoax? And if you're looking for more videos that might be hoaxes or might not be, Top 5 Scary has all of that and then some. We've got just about everything freaky you could possibly do a top 5 list on. Conspiracies, aliens, cryptids, true crime, fake crime, ghosts, another scary thing. We've got it. So hit that subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell, but please, would you kindly do that at the end of this video, because I got some more scary ghosts coming right up for you. Number 4, Oxford Castle. Stuart James is an amateur paranormal investigator and a spiritual enthusiast who's posted a few of his findings of strange happenings to the internet. Now, a lot of the things he posted could find their way onto this list, but it was this video of him exploring Oxford Castle and prison that had my hands turning cold and clammy. More so than usual, I mean. Once standing as a medieval castle, the castle was mostly destroyed in the English Civil War. By the 18th century, was rebuilt to serve as Oxford's local prison. Now, a new prison was built on the site from 1785 and remained in operation all the way until 1996. With a few hundred years of visitors passing through its cold stone walls and spending their last days behind bars, is it much of a surprise that it's said to be haunted by the ghosts of some of the long-term residents who just can't seem to break free of prison life? As such, it's a popular spot for fledgling ghost hunters to go looking. The prison actually even offers ghost hunting packages and overnight adventures creatures if you're looking for that sort of thing, but why don't you watch the clip first before you make any decisions. Did you see it? While looking through the glass window pane through a door, a face can be seen clear as day. James said as soon as he saw the face in the window, he and the rest of his team ran to the hills out of the prison, fearing what they had encountered and preferring to look the footage over later in the safety than spend another minute there. What do you think? Because I think I would do pretty much the exact same thing. I mean, I'm watching this video from the comfort of my office in a cozy little recording studio, and it was still enough to put my hair on end. I can't imagine that happening to you in front of your face and being able to keep a straight face, let alone dry jeans, and you're cool. I'd probably be on the first train out of Oxford and the rest of my days salt circling just in case. Number 3, the trampoline. Have you ever seen The Ring? Probably not, because if you saw the movie The Ring, you would have died roughly 7 days after that, and you wouldn't be able to watch all these lovely videos. I'm just kidding, of course. It's not haunted. Or is it? Now, the original Japanese Ring is one of my favorite horror movies, and I can't think of many things I've seen in my life half as truly creepy as Sadako stretching herself out of the TV into the real world. That scary long black hair covering her face, just the way she moves. Yeah, every time. Well, if I thought that was bad, this next thing might actually do me in and put me in the grave. Take a look at this next clip. At first, it seems like someone just filming some summer fun, until you get a better look at what appears to be a figure clad all in white crawling out from under the trampoline, looking honestly a lot like Sadako crawling out of that TV. You see why I brought the ring up? It definitely has me scratching my head watching over again. However, not everyone is as convinced as I am. I am pretty easily convinced. One commenter on the video attempted to debunk it as a fake, lending a bit of insight as a video editor. They said, I guess that the ghost figure is a clip of someone standing up, which has been motion tracked and composited in with blurring and opacity. If the shot was stabilized, like I'm guessing it was, this would be fairly straightforward and easy. The camera shake could be added in digitally after the motion tracking is done to really sell the shot. I noticed a blur on what looks like the ghost's back as it stands up, and the jumper leg passes over the figure. This blur is wiped away. This clip stops as the figure is moving above the black netting, which is being used to conceal any editing artifacts. Well, that's all well and reasonable, but it could also just be a ghost. That sounds like too much effort to me, personally. I mean, really, also, you gotta think of this. Who would go on the internet and just tell lies? What kind of person would go on the internet and then tell people that these supernatural things were happening if these things weren't really happening? What kind of person would do that just for clicks? Huh? Number 2, creepy puppet. I think we can all agree that haunted or not, a puppet is terrifying. Nothing good has ever come from teaching a piece of wood to flap its lips. Just look at Jeff Dunham. Whether it's the uncanny valley that makes them so disturbing or simply a reasonable disdain for ventriloquism, puppets are scary. Think of that little freak from Saw, the Goosebumps dummy, or Annabelle. Well, the truth is always scarier than fiction, I find. And in this next clip, we've got ourselves a true haunted puppet. Take a look at this footage that has people's jaws hanging open. Watch the clip. Did you see it? It was kind of hard to miss. Looks like this dummy is keen to give a performance without any help from anybody and has learned to move its mouth on its own. Is something possessing it? Now, knowing its history actually makes things a little bit more interesting because it seems like it could be likely. The doll is nicknamed Mr. Fritz, and it was recovered from a World War II prison camp where it is said to have been made by a prisoner. It eventually made its way into the hands of a private collector in the United Kingdom. This new owner, one Michael Diamond, claims that several times he noticed the glass display case on Mr. Fritz would open on itself during the night. Now, the reasonable thing to do would be to, burn his house down and make sure the doll burns up and release that evil away and, move countries. He instead set up a camera and filmed it for a few nights and caught this horrifying footage of the seemingly possessed dummy talking. His solution was to wrap it in chains and keep a blanket over it. I would send it to space or cast it into the ocean, but you do you. He's actually not too worried about it at all. Mr. Diamond says, "My wife and daughter both hate it, and I understand why, but I'm not intimidated by it. A braver man than me." Now, this could be faked, I'm sure, but I'm inclined to believe this is real. Haunted or not, I just do not trust this puppet even a little bit, Number 1, grandparents' ghost. That sounds sad. I like to save the best for last, and I think after you watch this clip, you might agree with me, as this is one of the weirder things on a list of all weird things. This was posted to the Ghost subreddit earlier in the month and was making the rounds on the paranormal and scarier sides of the internet, as even the biggest skeptics were wondering just what it was they were looking at. This redditor and their family had taken a day for a family vacation at a nearby water park, and when they had returned, there were several calls from the security company telling them that an alarm inside their grandparents' home had been tripped. When they returned home to watch the footage, they were stunned at what they had seen, and I invite you now to watch it too. As you could probably see, there's clearly something going on in that house that's a little more powerful than just the wind or a trick of the light. And hey, don't start telling me this is just an orb of dust floating by the camera lens, okay? There is something seriously wrong going on in here, and I think they need to dial an exorcist. The doors of the living room mysteriously shut by themselves, at the same time that the lamp on the table is flickering out like crazy. You keep watching the video, you also see a bowl moving by itself and a chair being dragged across the floor. All things that are like a checklist if you're going through to check if your house is being haunted. That's typical poltergeist behavior. Now, some people were a bit skeptical, suggesting this could very likely have been doctored or faked just to get some attention, but he did post a follow-up afterwards to provide just a little bit more context. He said that he did some digging into the history surrounding his house and the neighborhood. Found out that he lived in the town Napoleon grew up in. That's pretty cool. But more interestingly, he found that the house that his grandparents lived in used to be two houses that were converted into one, and in the other one there was a story of a man taking his life. So could this be a sign of his spirit passing through something walking through the worlds? Or is this all just a complicated scheme for some upvotes and clicks? You let me know down below in the comments, my friends. Number 5, the deer. Coming up first today on our list of skinwalker footage that has everybody double checking the family pets and other assorted wildlife to make sure they haven't been replaced with any sinister shape-shifting shamans, is this little clip from Tik Tok of a member of the Corvids family acting real bizarre. That's a fancy word for deer. I want to make sure you learn something every day. Roll the clip. Now, someone is out in the woods late at night hunting by themselves, which if any horror movie has ever taught me anything at all, not a good idea. I mean, they clearly know it's not a good idea either, since the caption of the video is "always hunt with others, something isn't right with this deer," and that much is obvious. The deer is staring into the camera with empty eyes. It's got that total deer in the headlights look, probably because it's a deer in the headlights. Is that where that saying comes from? You'd think the buck might be scared of the car pulled in front of it or the people filming, but instead it just seems to stare back with that empty-eyed stare. Now, when it turns its head, we can see the thing's bottom jaw hanging open, limp, as if it's barely being held together by decaying tissues, or if the deer's reanimated like a zombie. Now, this could be a shape-shifting shaman of Dene folklore, or a little bit more likely, and you know I like to play the skeptic, it could be a deer suffering from a horrible disease called epizootic hemorrhagic, which occurs when a deer is bitten by a midge, that's a disgusting little mosquito-like bug carrying the virus, which wreaks all sorts of havoc to the deer's neurological systems, causing it to act abnormally and very scary, and I would wager that most footage you find online of a deer acting strange could be traced back to this. Another common symptom of EHD is the deer's tongue swelling to uncomfortable sizes, which would leave its maw agape and sort of give off that terrifying look of the deer's jaw sort of like hanging around by a thread there. Now, EHD isn't considered a risk to humans, so you don't have to worry about it too much, but if you were a deer watching this video right now, oh buddy, if you were a deer, I'd tell you to be careful, okay? It's midge season, and you don't want your legacy as a deer to be ending up in one of these videos. And if you're looking for more videos of all sorts of bizarre things that no one can explain, well, that's what Top 5 Scary trades in spades. We've got so much of that. We got aliens, ghouls, cryptids, goblins galore, anything freaky you can think of. We've got 2 to 4 videos on it. So hit subscribe. Please make sure you ring that little bell as well so you're not missing a single beat. But Do that at the end of this video if you wouldn't mind so much, because I got 4 more clips of weird skinwalker things around the net that I would just love to show you. Number 4. Wade Lanagan. Coming up next is going to be this video that was posted to TikTok by users Wade Lanagan, showing a pretty horrifying suburban little scene. Something that I found kind of interesting whenever I do these videos, I do research, is that a lot of mythology and folk tales about skinwalkers sort of incorporate how bad they want to worm their way into your house. Makes sense, that's where you live, I guess, and they want to get at you. Now obviously you should do just about whatever it takes to prevent this from happening. In this clip, we see exactly that in practice. A young mother and her child are at home when they're apprehended by someone, or perhaps more accurately, something. Something that's slamming at the door. Now, in this clip, it certainly looks like a person, but it screeches like a monster out of your worst nightmare. So some sort of ear scratching scream that shouldn't be coming out of any living thing. And it seems to be covered in some sort of red liquid, although maybe it's just me, but it does look a little bit like Cheeto dust. I'm not saying a skinwalker can't eat a little flaming hot Cheeto now and again. I don't really know what they eat, actually. I've always assumed they eat man, but maybe they're omnivorous and like a snack here and there. The strange being runs off, but before the mother and child can catch their breath, we hear that same familiar knocking slamming away on the door, and the video cuts out. But if you really like that video, don't worry, I'm not gonna post for top 5 twice, and you wanted to see more and more about the family, going onto their TikTok account reveals a 4-part series of videos chronicling their tracking of a possible skinwalker and their eventual pursuit by one. Now these clips, you know, I'm not gonna lie to you, these are definitely just a home production, but I wanted to put them up because I thought they were fun, you know? I talk about horror movies on the channel all the time, and what is a TikTok if not a very, very short horror movie for people who've got places to be? I've got nothing but love for anyone making horror content at home, so if you were interested in this and you liked it, give the channel a check out. Wade Lanagan, they got lots more spooky paranormal stuff on TikTok for you to enjoy. Number 3, do you believe? Coming in next today is going to be this clip that was posted to TikTok by a user by the name of Do You Believe? Do you believe? We do. That's exactly why we're here today, baby. We believe. Now, this video takes place in the pitch black of night, looking in someone's backyard as someone is staring into the eyes of what looks like a neighborhood dog. But if you've learned anything from this video so far, it's that looks can be fairly deceiving. The dog isn't the uploaders, as they don't recognize the animal and they're a bit unnerved by Fido coming forward towards them. The eyes seem to be staring deep through the internet and directly into my soul just a little bit. The dog keeps approaching slowly before finally jumping out at the person recording the video, and also coincidentally sending me recoiling about 5 feet back from my screen and my phone flying across the room. No relation though. Now this clip definitely had people talking though, with just as many people suggesting that it could just be a dog doing what a dog does and being kind of silly in a backyard. I could certainly see that. Dogs are known to be silly, but this dog is definitely creepy. I don't know if they taught this dog to behave like this, but the way it stalks has me scratching my head just a little bit. Now, there are some commenters on this video who say that they find this video cuter than they do scary, which is definitely fair. It is a cute dog, if not a scary one. So as always, whenever there's a bit of unknown in the air, there's a little room for discussion and speculation, I toss it over to you, my faithful YouTube commenter gang. Is this just a regular old Labrador with its eyes hitting the camera just right? Or is there something about this old dog that ain't what it seems? Could this be a bit of a Cujo situation? Does this thing know any new tricks like shape-shifting? Number 2, creepy real. Coming up next is going to be this clip that was posted to TikTok by the user Creepy Real. Creepy Real. Well, I do videos that are real creepy. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh no, please, I'm here all week. That pun is what my degree paid for. Reading is not what my degree paid for. I didn't go to school for book learning, I went to school for talking. Now this next video is short and sweet. We see someone getting chased by something. We don't really get too good a look, but honestly that could be a mercy. What we can see is that the person chasing our cameraman seems to be human, but not doing a perfect job of it. The caption calls it a human disguised as a skinwalker. Now, I found something kind of interesting about this video. I thought it was pretty creepy, gave me the heebie-jeebies, but as I was going through the comments on this one, I noticed that every third comment was someone saying this isn't a skinwalker, but rather a djinn. In fact, seriously, if you look at the link, almost every comment is alleging this, as if this is a very known practice and we're all fools for making the mistake. So I did a little digging and I thought I'd share what I learned. Jinn are thought to be spirits, creatures that are thought to originate from Islamic folktales. They are considered to be invisible creatures but can take the form of humans as well as various animals, predominantly slimy things like snakes. They're pretty similar to skinwalkers, all things considered, but while a skinwalker is a shape-shifting shaman cast off from Dene society, a jinn was born into the world of spirit. Interestingly too, jinn are thought to neither be evil or good, but just rather are, and each are their own unique entity with their own desires and drives. It's thought that you can only see a jinn if they want you to see them, so if this creature really is a jinn chasing our cameraman, well, there must be some reason for it. Of course, the possible reason for it is that it is TikTok, and downright likely that this is someone trying to get a few clicks on TikTok, or just something scary that happened and made for some great views. Regardless, made my hair stand on end a little bit. I hope it freaked you out ever so slightly too. And if you know a little bit more about jinns and the difference between jinns and skinwalkers, please share some of that information with the casual crypt keeper. I love to learn, and you all are a great source of information for me. And number 1, wilderness survival. Coming in at this number 1 spot is this very strange clip that was uploaded. Let me tell you, if you're looking for weirdness on the internet, yeah, Top 5 Scary is an amazing place. I do some great work finding it for you, but TikTok really is the place to be. It's the strangest black hole on the internet for a reason. This clip was going around the front page recently, and it's not hard to see why. In it, we can see what looks like a fairly dated old analog VHS footage of what I can make out as some countryside. I'm not sure where though. I'm not a geo-guesser guy. The sights of the American countryside sure would be beautiful if it weren't for the gut-wrenching screaming that you can hear in the background as someone is begging and pleading for anyone, please, anyone to come help. But as the camera pans and zooms, there doesn't seem to be anyone around for miles except for whoever is filming and a single mysterious person standing alone in a field, completely ignorant to it all, as if they don't even hear it. In fact, the person standing there doesn't seem to really even be there, you know what I mean? Sort of gently swaying in the breeze like a scarecrow. Could it be that this is a skinwalker and the sounds we hear are the last panicked screams it heard from one of its victims? It's considered a trait of skinwalkers that not only are they able to take on the form of any animal or human that they wish, but they're also able to mimic other humans' speech or animal cries with perfect clarity. And that pain in the person's screams are super creepy. And if you thought this clip was super duper creepy, I've got fantastic news for you. This clip was an excerpt from Gemini Home Entertainment, a fantastic series of online internet horror videos presented as an anthology of old VHS tapes, much like the super successful VHS film series, if you know those. This one is from the one titled Wilderness Survival Guide, and it's honestly one of the better ones in the series. I would super recommend it. Definitely if you like any of this sort of stuff, like analog horror, skinwalkers, crediting artists, any of that stuff, give it a watch.
Number 5, David Black. So back in 2015, on his way home from work, David, a resident of the Garden State, said he captured a winged animal on camera while he was driving home. Alright, so the resident of the Little Egg Harbor Township was driving past a golf course on Route 9 in Galloway when he spotted the monster. He told the local news it was around 6 p.m. in the evening, so kinda darkish, when he saw what he believed to be a llama originally running outside. Are those local to Jersey? Let me know. As he got closer, he pulled out his camera and snapped a photo, and then suddenly he said the creature sprouted wings and took flight from the course. Now David said his heart was racing as he witnessed both incredible wonder and deep-seated nightmarish thoughts while capturing the apparent cryptid. David insisted the picture he took of the Jersey Devil was not photoshopped or a staged thing. Some folks have said it's fake, but it's not, and he's just looking for an explanation about what he saw. And like honestly, that applies to most people I find in the cryptid community. We just want to know the truth. So he took a couple of pictures, but only one of them clearly showed the devil as described in dozens of stories. The picture showed a creature with dark brown fur, wings on its back, and cloven feet. He described it as a large flying mammal about the size of a deer. At least it wasn't a moose. If you look at the photo, you can clearly see the wings on the creature's back and the horns on its head. And once again, the feet are right, and the fur is dark brown, and it's obviously off the ground. And I didn't see any wires or string holding it up like a piñata, so. After his encounter, David said he stared at the photo for about an hour, trying to come up with an explanation for the image he had captured. Now, the myth of the New Jersey Devil dates back to 1735 in American folklore, so it's been around for a minute, it's not a new thing. sighting, and this hasn't been debunked yet, so make of that what you will. Number 4, Emily Martin. So, funny thing about that last sighting, only a few days afterwards, a gal named Emily came forward with her own footage of the creature roaming around the same area. We do have the footage to show you, so you can make your own opinion, and I think it's about 17 seconds long. And while you do, I figured now is as good a time as any to give y'all some context on the history of the devil. Since we don't know a lot about Emily's sighting, why not? So the Jersey Devil is a creature native to the Pine Barrens area of, New Jersey. It is often described as having hooves, a snake's tail, bat-like wings, and a head that looks something like a horse, so that checks the last story. The devil might glow. It can also possibly breathe fire or poison water with its breath, kind of classic dragon characteristics. It's also known as the Leeds Devil, by the way. It doesn't have just one moniker. Local residents trace its origin to a woman named Mother Leeds, the mistress of a British soldier who was suspected of being a witch. And when she gave birth to her 13th spawn, she cursed it, because having 12 wasn't enough. It was then born as a hairy creature and soon took to terrorizing the populace and eating people. The local tribes called the area Papuasing, meaning place of the dragon. Swedish explorers later named it Drake Kill, Drake being a word for dragon and kill meaning channel or arm of the sea. A couple of fun facts for you this evening. According to AmericanFolklore.net, Joseph Bonaparte, elder brother of, Napoleon, is also claimed to have witnessed the Jersey Devil while hunting on his Bordentown estate around 1820. The Jersey Devil on its own is a popular creature in New Jersey, with its image on quite a number of products. And yes, this is how the New Jersey Devils, the hockey team, got named, which I didn't know until this year. But it's also quite the popular image outside of the date. It's one of those major American monsters that gets mentioned rather frequently in pop culture, books about the strange, the paranormal, and the unexplained. I think to date 2 fictional movies have been made about the devil, The Last Broadcast and 13th, Little one, Legend of the Jersey Devil, but let me know if there's any more because I would love to watch them. This creature has also appeared numerous times in modern pop culture, including other films, television, literature, music, and video games, like Wolf Amongst Us, where the devil works for the Crooked Man. The cryptid was also the focus of the X-Files episode The Jersey Devil. Unlike more common and fantastic descriptions, the Jersey Devil of the episode is instead likened to a feral humanoid or possible subspecies of mankind. While this flies in the face of all the traditional descriptions of the character, the lack of special effects budgeting in the early episodes of the X-Files undoubtedly forced the producers to make a more cost-effective version of the creature. But I love it. Number 3, a case of teenage bravery or stupidity if you're asking me. Johnny Ramsey is not the first member of his family to have spotted the Jersey Devil, with his grandma, dad, and boss at work having shared their own tales of spotting with him. So he grew up unafraid to, see it around. It's there? Great. Cool. His logic was that since the Jersey Devil was always described as a shy, somewhat benign creature that was never aggressive, and only visible enough for a witness to catch a small glimpse of him, it was something to feel sorry for instead of fearing, and something he really wanted to get a photo of. So back in February, he was working on a farm with his brother's girlfriend, Janice, who didn't have a driver's license, and being a good person, he would drive her back and forth to work every day. The pair often worked late evening shifts, so poor Johnny would be driving Janice home in pitch black conditions, and her home was very deep in the forest, in the middle of nowhere. Well, one night after dropping her off, Johnny was driving along the gravel road on the last stretch before the main highway when he was overcome with a feeling of something, or someone watching him, which led him to pull over and stop his car. He was smart enough to keep his doors locked at first and kept a large wrench under his seat for safety that he was confident he could use if need be. He sat there for a while trying to calm down and was looking around to see if he could spot what might have been bothering him in the woods or on the road. Leaving the car, he ventured a few steps away with his phone camera out, trying once again to see past the large trees in the area, but spotted nothing weird and returned to his car. He started driving slowly down the road and noticed movement from the top of one of the tallest trees. So he stopped the car again, stared in the direction trying to get his eyes to focus, and once his eyes had finally adjusted, he described what he saw as something larger than a man, with a huge head, sitting in a half-crouched position as if it was ready to spring from its hind legs at any moment. It was sadly too dark to make out any other specifics against the dark sky, but he was able to snag a picture. Deep in a state of concentration at staring whatever was in the bushes, Johnny accidentally let his foot slip from the clutch and his car stalled the engine. The creature's head whipped around suddenly at the noise and took off in one swift motion. As it was taking off, Johnny didn't see any wings on its back, but heard a loud whooshing noise like large wings would make. In addition to hearing this, Johnny was able to make out some very powerful looking legs that were bent at the knees like a horse's legs would be. Since the car was now stalled and quiet, he was able to hear a large screech and whoosh of air above him that grew fainter within seconds. So whatever this thing was, it was fast and powerful. As the creature took off, the bushes on the tree almost bent in half, thrashing and swaying for a long time after it left. Johnny panicked, managed to get the car started, and drove back to Janice's house in a tizzy, not even remembering to close the car door as he barged into the home and started babbling about what he had seen. And Janice's dad calmly told him that, yeah, he must have seen the Jersey Devil. He drove Johnny back to the spot where he'd seen it and confirmed there was definitely a disturbance in the bushes on that side of the road. He told Johnny that he'd had quite a few sightings of the Jersey Devil on his land before, but had never said anything to his wife or daughter so they wouldn't get freaked out. So big whoopsie on Johnny's front for that one. Now, he did post a picture online, and hopefully we still have it, but you never quite know with supernatural pictures. They tend to go poof sometimes. Number 2, a bachelor party gone wrong. So David Bennett describes himself as living around 15 to 20 minutes from the infamous Leeds Point birthplace of the Jersey Devil, having grown up going to the Pines often to ride, dirt bikes, explore old abandoned houses, and paintball. As a local resident, he described the local Jersey Devil lore that, simply that was in his life, never taking it for more than an urban legend. As a teenager, he had investigated the old Leeds house where the previous sightings took place, saying that it was just crumbling foundation, nothing spooky. For his buddy Max's bachelor party, all of their friends agreed that a full weekend ride and camp out would be perfect, and David was thrilled, having just finished restoring a dirt bike that he wanted to test out. So the group drove out to the area and found a clearing that was quite odd, with no plants, and seemed like the perfect area to set up camp for the weekend without disturbing nature. At the time, David was unaware of the concept of Devil's Tramping Grounds, which are cleared circles in heavily forested areas where demons like to frequent. Just a piece of useful information for anyone looking to recreate what's about to happen. The party set up and rode all day, partied all night, and nothing really strange occurred that first evening. The next morning, the sky was overcast and looked like it was going to stay that way for the day, ruining the guys' plans, but they opted to try and make the most of the trip. They partied the best they could that day, coming and going from their campsite, which was easy to find from the patch of gravel at the entrance to the area, and that night most of the group had passed out around midnight, exhausted from the constant partying. Around 3 a.m., nature calling woke David up, so he grabbed his cell phone and stumbled over to the gravel patch to take care of business. And as he sobered up, he noticed that the area, known for loud animal noises at night, was eerily silent. He originally assumed that he had spooked the wildlife, but he started to get the feeling that he was being watched. As he tried to shake off said feeling, he heard a sound he described as hooves clopping on that gravel patch, and saw the silhouette of something resembling a deer in the bright moonlight. He soon realized it wasn't an actual deer when the creature shifted its head and the moon revealed a puzzled look on its face, along with glowing, beady red eyes. David's logic was that if he moved slowly enough, maybe the creature wouldn't spot him, so he tried inching back towards the tent and accidentally crushed a beer can with his foot, startling the creature. As it fled, David snapped a picture, heard the clapping of the hooves, and what he described as the sound of a huge bird taking off. He tried looking for footprints in the dark, using his phone flashlight, but a massive downpour of rain started, washing away any possible evidence before he could, capture that. He did get one picture of the creature though, so we should have it, and come morning, David was just trying to forget about the entire night. Number 1, a sighting near an abandoned house. So just last year, Logan Pierce and some of his friends decided to make the 30-minute drive from their place to Pine Barrens, not looking for anything in particular, but they wanted to find proof of the existence of the Jersey Devil. The drive took them down Bulltown Road, near Batstow Village, a place rumored to be home to previous sightings, and they passed by an old abandoned house and didn't really think much of it. After a while of not seeing much aside from deer and the occasional owl, the group decided to head back the way they came and call it a night, before batteries died. As they passed by that old house again though, they saw what they described as bright green eyes peering out a window. They took a picture of it and made the quick decision to drive up to the house, but then the eyes disappeared. A strange noise then caught the attention of Logan and his friend, who was in the front seat next to him. She was shining her flashlight around on her phone and caught sight of something swooping over the car, describing it as darker in color and larger than any bird she knew of. By the time the group could react to it though, nothing was around. They all left the car to investigate, but all that could be found were hoofprints in the sandy soil that were too big to be those of a deer and too small to be from a horse. The group eventually left home that night, but had vowed to return again soon to gather more evidence, and I wish them luck and safety.
Number 5, Brazil. Coming up first on our list of ghost footage that's been freaking out the pros and spooking the amateurs alike is this bizarre clip captured and uploaded to the internet by one Mr. Miracle BR. Thank you, Mr. Miracle. Mr. Miracle shared this, and we're glad they did, even if it does have us questioning the nature of our reality ever so slightly. The footage appears to be a body camera footage of a police raid in Brazil, where a group of plain-clothed officers are ready to kick down doors to deal with whatever's hiding inside. Of course, they might just be the wrong emergency department to call, as it seems like the Ghostbusters might have been a lot more appropriate. Take a look now. When they kick in that door, either they used a little bit too much force, or there's something in there they're not going to be able to put handcuffs on. The door keeps banging, swinging rapidly and violently back and forth in place. Whatever's going on with this one door seems to be present on all the doors in this warehouse, as every door they pass through starts swinging violently as if it's got a mind of their own, leading to the men getting understandably jumpy. The academy doesn't teach you how to deal with ghosts. They start looking over their shoulders over and over, and the video cuts pretty short when the men start to dart down the hall, running away in a flurry. Running away from what, I wonder? Now this clip alone is already pretty unsettling. Imagine, even with you and your squad, well trained, heavily armed, I still think seeing something you can't explain would have me on edge in a building that already looks pretty creepy. The creepiest part though is apparently this happens to cops more than we know. When the clip was posted, someone on Reddit responded with their own experience in the service, and they wrote, "I've cleared some creepy buildings as a cop. The most unrealistic thing about this video is that they kept going. I remember clearing this abandoned plantation house that still had an alarm hooked up with my partner. As we cleared each room, we left the doors open so we knew we were cleared. Turned around after the last door and all the doors were shut. Noped on out of there. Makes a lot of sense. I would probably do the same." And if you're looking for way more videos about ghosts, goblins, ghouls, and basically everything freaky above the sun and below it, Top 5 Scary is the place to be. Hit that subscribe button, please tickle that little bell if you wouldn't mind, but do that after this video because we got way more ghost sightings coming up for you right now.
Coming in at number 4, back in the late 1930s, on an especially dark evening, a nun was driving a school bus filled with children home after a field trip. They were heading down Shane Road, but when approaching the railroad crossing, the bus abruptly stalled out on the tracks. Most of the students were sleeping, so the nun was quietly attempting to start the engine back up when a train emerged, seemingly out of nowhere, as its headlamp was burned out. Something that hopefully won't happen anymore. It was too late to evacuate the children as the train was moving way too fast. The nun, desperately and frantically, turned the key, making one last attempt to restart the bus, just as the train smashed through the bus, cutting it in half. The nun was thrown through the windshield, but miraculously survived. The rest of the folks on the bus weren't as fortunate and passed from the event. A few weeks later, the nun, guilt-ridden and heartbroken, returned to the site of the accident, filled with guilt and wanted to end her life. She parked her car on the tracks and sat there, waiting for the next train to come along. Later, when a train came into sight, speeding down towards her, in the same way as that tragic night, the nun began to hear some familiar voices. Then, her car began to move forward as if it was being pushed from behind, rolling to safety just as the train passed by. In disbelief, the nun got out of her car and began looking around, expecting to find some sort of good Samaritan, but didn't see a single person. She looked back at her car and noticed child-sized handprints on the back of her trunk, and realized that the ghosts of her students had saved her life. The nun was then blessed with a new purpose in life, and she opened a school for orphans, teaching there for the rest of her days. It is said that to this day, if anyone parks their car on or near the railroad tracks at Shane Road, ghostly children will push the vehicle to safety, as they are determined to make sure that no one meets the same gruesome fate that they suffered. Many locals have made claims that say that you can hear the rumbling sounds of a train nearing, the steam whistle howling, and the screeching of wheels as if the train is grinding to a halt, but nothing is there at all, except for the haunting chill of the night. One of the children from this accident is more, shall I say, social than the others, and sometimes tries to find her way home. Not long after these initial incidents, a woman was driving down Shane Road late one night, and as she approached the railroad crossing, she saw a little girl standing all alone on the side of the road, holding a teddy bear. Now this woman immediately stopped, pulled over, and offered the girl a ride home. Once they arrived at the girl's house, the child was hesitant to leave the vehicle and to head inside. The woman assumed that the girl must have run away from home after a fight with her parents, and offered to head to the house first to reassure the family. When the woman got out of the car, she looked back to give the child a reassuring smile, but the girl had completely vanished. She quickly reopened her car door, but no one was there. However, the seatbelt was still fastened. The photo evidence we have from this tale shows the little girl waiting by the tracks, just wanting to get home.
Our next weird clip for you is going to be this footage that was uploaded to the Ghosts subreddit. It's got investigators talking and viewers pausing to try and understand just what's going on. And a shout out to the Ghosts subreddit. Thanks for doing most of the heavy lifting on my job. Now you might think that ghosts and spirits only come out to play at night, but when the weather's nice, even the ghosts and ghouls and all things malevolent come out to soak up some rays. Let's give that clip a quick watch. Did you see it? Kinda hard not to. The white specter rushing by the side of the house. The user posted this with the caption, "Coworker caught this outside of his house and we're speechless," and it's easy to see why. What is it that's been caught on camera sprinting by that house? Now there's definitely something mysterious here. I get the same vibe off this mysterious entity that I do like the Fresno night crawlers, to shout out one of my favorite cryptids and unknown paranormal mysteries. I can't explain what's happening, and I know there's probably a reasonable scientific explanation, but I'm not finding it right now. Now not everyone is as convinced as me. I'm very easily swayed. Some commenters had suggested that perhaps this could be a small animal like a monkey running by really fast, or a parrot flying by really, really fast. You'll have to let us know down below in the comments whether or not you think this was proof of a spectral entity caught on security, or if this is just a funny little creature monkeying around. For what it's worth, and I think we should take this seriously, I think a monkey could be a ghost. As far as I know, monkeys can become ghosts. I've never seen someone disprove this. I've never seen someone prove this either, but this might be that proof we need.
In second place, we have Johnny Johnson. While Toys R Us may no longer exist as a physical store in the United States, I think, I'd like to travel back to the 70s when it did. Located in Sunnyvale, California. No, not Sunnydale. No Hellmouth here, I don't think. Toys R Us decided to build a store over the property of a former ranch. Honestly, pretty normal sounding so far, right? Staff and customers alike began to report multiple incidents of what they believed to be a haunting, ranging from hearing their names whispered to them, or feeling cold breezes, and seeing objects moving around on their own. The woman's bathroom, in particular, seemed especially spooky because the sink's faucet taps would turn on by themselves. Oh, and some female employees said they experienced what felt like some invisible being playing with their hair, which... In 1978, psychic Sylvia Brown held a seance there for the first time, determined to identify the entity. The ghost haunting the store allegedly revealed himself as Johnson. Johnson's ghost told Brown that he was a preacher and a ranch hand in the 1880s on what was then the Murphy family farm. He spoke with a mild Swedish accent, and his first name was either John, Jan, or Johan. 10 out of the 16 people assembled there for the seance said they heard a high buzzing noise when Sylvia was supposedly listening to the ghost. The ghost told her that he had been in love with Murphy's daughter Elizabeth, who ran off with an East Coast lawyer. Old news clippings say that Johnson accidentally hacked his leg with an axe while carelessly chopping down trees and met his end from the injuries. Sylvia repeatedly went back to the Toys R Us to communicate with Johnny, who she called the most stubborn, ornery, argumentative ghost she'd ever met in her book, stating that she had tried many times to explain to him that his lifetime as Johnny Johnson had ended. Apparently, Johnny got so frustrated about being told that he had passed that he gave her the ultimatum that if she ever brought it up again, he would go silent. Sylvia let the matter drop since she and the ghost supposedly had a quasi-friendship where they would chat about the annoying and noisy kids who frequented the store. A 2007 piece on Snopes, which if you're unaware of, is a pretty legitimate fact-checking site, featured a woman named O'Brien, who had worked at the store for over 18 years stocking shelves, claiming that she didn't believe in ghosts, but when you feel a breeze behind you or someone calls your name and there's nobody there, funny things happen that she just couldn't rationally explain. The report talked about dolls and toy trucks leaping off the shelves, balls bouncing down the aisles, and children's books falling off the racks. Baby swings would move on their own. The folks at Toys R Us say they've tried to explain it logically, but they've got nothing. Johnny was captured on camera in 1978, casually leaning against the shelves while the group that was there for the seance is shown sitting. Now that the store is no longer a Toys R Us, it has housed a Spirit Halloween, which feels fitting for some weird reason.
Number 1, the Arizona truck ghost. You ask any man of the road, ask them if they've ever seen anything strange up there, and they'll tell you everything. And this next clip is just more fuel for that fire. William Church is a truck driver who was driving down Arizona State Route 87 on March 11th, and he saw something he couldn't explain. And this time, it wasn't just the heebie-jeebies from one too many coffees and a Slim Jim for breakfast. He spotted something spectral on the road that was recorded by his dash cam, and he thinks this translucent figure was something not of this world. You can see the lines through the legs making a figure, Church told Fox News. Now there are some locals who believe that the highway itself is haunted. It was first built in 1927 and stretching across approximately 273 miles, there's a good bit of tragic history on Route 87. It's been described as one of Arizona's most treacherous roads, and as such, countless fatal car accidents have occurred on this particular stretch of land. Could it be that because of this, there's spirits still trapped on the long, lonely road, wandering around looking for a home they'll never be able to return to? After Church's video was uploaded and went a bit viral, viewers reported that they'd seen a lot of supernatural activity around Arizona's highways. If I'm ever traveling through Arizona, I think I will take a boat. Perhaps. One of Arizona's many plentiful boats for its vast and teeming rivers and lakes. That's what everybody knows about Arizona. It's a really wet state, right? Really wet state. Number 5, the spiritual stream. Coming up first on our list today is this footage that has been setting people's minds ablaze. Maybe it's one of the most compelling pieces of supernatural footage on the internet recently, and it's only number 5. So you gotta imagine this is gonna be a good list, and I'm not being sensationalist in any way. Take a look at this. A group of friends and streamers had been watching a sports stream together, and after the stream had wrapped, they're getting into the post-commentary section of things, discussing their thoughts, theories, when things took a turn for the supernatural. Streamer Chris D noticed a dark shadow passing from the right side to the left side of his webcam before going out of frame. Not even half a second later, Chris turned around deeply aware that there was something that had passed behind him. Chris was terrified, asking if he'd just seen a ghost. Chris's up-close encounter made his friends into a believer. I mean, yeah, if I think there was a video of one of my friends having a ghost walk right behind him, I'd probably start believing too. The host of the podcast running the stream, J. Rob, claimed that he was always skeptical of the idea that the supernatural was real, but quoting, "After what I witnessed while streaming on my channel, it forever changed my belief." And this incident might actually have changed the friends far more than just believing, and might have given them a bit of spiritual guidance, if you'll pardon the pun, as they've changed their path from sports podcasting to supernatural huntings, as the boys are rebranding as the Ghost Brothers and are going to stream Chris's house directly to see if they can catch anything else on camera. We'll definitely see, and we'll be keeping an eye on them, and hopefully we'll see them again in another Top 5 Scary video. Top 5 even scarier poltergeist sightings. But if you can't wait for those guys to start getting some ghost content, we've already got some ghost videos right here. You don't gotta go anywhere. Click on through on Top 5 Scary and find something to like. Hit subscribe. Make sure you hit that little bell as well so you don't miss a scream. But you gotta do that at the end of this video for me, would you kindly? Because I got 4 more pieces of poltergeist footage coming up for you right about now. Number 4, no strings attached. I think most of us could probably agree that regardless of if a spirit or poltergeist is possessing a puppet or not, a puppet is terrifying. I just don't think any good can ever come from teaching a piece of wood to talk. Whether it's the uncanny valley that makes them so disturbing, a biological impulse to make us recognize that that's not a real person, or maybe just a general reasonable disdain for the practice of ventriloquism, puppets are scary, you know? The Goosebumps dummy, movie star Annabelle, that freaky little puppet freak from Saw who loves playing all those funny little games? Well, the truth is always scarier than fiction, I find, and in this next clip we've got a true haunted puppet on our case and sealed away in a case. Take a look at this footage that has people's jaws hanging open. Did you see it? It's kind of hard to miss. It looks like this dummy is keen to give a performance without any help from anybody and has learned to move its mouth on its own. Is something possessing it? Is there a malevolent spirit inside this puppet, or is it just going solo? Knowing its history makes things a lot more interesting. This doll is named Mr. Fritz, and it was recovered from a World War II prison camp and eventually would make its way into the hands of a private collector in the UK. The new owner, one Michael Diamond, claims that several times he noticed the glass display would open on its own during the night. Now, if I got a haunted doll from a World War II prison camp and the glass case that I was putting it in kept accidentally opening on its own, I would probably burn my house down, change countries, but he filmed it for a few nights and caught footage of the seemingly possessed dummy talking. His solution was to wrap it in chains and keep a blanket over it. Again, I would probably bury it, cast it into the ocean, I don't know, pour salt on it, burn it, but hey, you do you, and I'm glad you're doing it because we got footage of it. Mr. Diamond says he's not worried, saying, "My wife and daughter both hate it, and I understand why. I'm not intimidated by it." Now, this obviously could be fake, some special effects, some fishing wire, I'm sure, but I'm inclined to believe this one is real, and maybe that's just because I don't want to mess with this puppet at all. Number 3, TikTok's poltergeist pair. Coming up next on our list of poltergeist sightings caught on camera is this TikTok account, Lainey and Ben. You might have even come across them if you're particularly big on supernatural stuff on TikTok. They're a pair of teachers who've been viral for the haunted house they live in. Take a look at some of the footage captured from their account. Now, Lainey said she hadn't believed in spirits, but had hoped that she had, because after her mother's passing, she started to truly believe when she said her mother came to her in a dream and told her, "I'm here to tell you I'm okay and I'm happy." She would meet her partner Ben at Teachers College, and the two of them married quickly, buying a house in the summer of 2018. Not relatable at all. They moved into their house, and shortly after moving in, found odd noises keeping them up at night. Footsteps on stairs, creaky voices, until it started to ramp up, with them claiming that they were hearing voices calling out to them during the night, whispering their names. They claimed after this first incident with the voices, the hauntings would then become much more intense, objects shifting, being tossed across the room, coming into a room and seeing a chair stacked, cabinets flying open, drawers launched around. They say they had a friend house sitting for them while they were away, and within a few hours the friend had called to return the keys and said he was done. Allegedly, while sleeping, he felt the duvet get torn off of him and thrown across the room, and that it was just too much to deal with. Honestly, fair. I am the exact same way when I wake up, and that is regardless of if a ghost is touching me or not. Now, despite the fact that the two seem to be living in the Amityville horror house, the couple enjoy it and say they love their spirits and love being part of the paranormal community. Now, is that because these are benevolent, friendly spirits that are easy to get along with and have exposed the pair to a world they didn't know, or do the pair just enjoy the fame and success that comes from posting the clips to TikTok? But I mean, come on, could it be faked? Do you really think anyone would go on the internet and fake things about the supernatural for clicks and ad money? Do you think anyone would do that? Number 2, the Deer Park Demon. Coming up next is going to be this Irish school that has a little too much school spirit. Huh? Instead of a student body, they got a disembody? Do I have a third pun? No. On October 1st at around 3 a.m., the witching hour, surveillance cameras captured these spooky happenings at Deer Park Public in Cork, Ireland, weeks before Halloween. We see the lockers shake, the doors slam, and a sign flopping over, all without a string or person in sight. Now, some online had questioned whether or not the footage could have been doctored or edited in any way, or perhaps it was a hoax with a green screen, and that's certainly possible, but I think you should look up how much funding any public school receives, because they really don't have a lot of room in the budget for fake ghost videos. This footage was unsettling the staff, with the principal baffled at what had happened, wondering if the footage was somehow evidence of a very complicated senior prank. A prank perhaps, but one done by poltergeists, not students. Allegedly, this wasn't the first time something supernatural has been reported on in Deer Park either. The principal, one Aaron Wolf, said that staff in the past have complained about inexplicable happenings around the school, from minor things like the hallways being supernaturally cold to more extreme things like hearing the ghostly wail of a banshee through the halls late at night. Of course, that could just as easily be a student getting back their test results and discovering they are not making honor roll this year. The school was built on a site known as the Green Gallows, a 19th century execution ground for criminals. Is it possible that the lingering spirit of some of these former criminals are wandering the halls, just looking for a bit of post-mortuary education? I'm not sure, and I'm not looking to find out anytime soon. I graduated twice, not looking to go back to school a third time. Number 1, the Hillview Haunting. And finally, rounding out our list today of supernatural occurrences on camera is going to be this clip I've dubbed the Hillview Haunting. What with it occurring at the Hillview Manor in Newcastle, Pennsylvania. It's been a nursing home, but above all else and beyond, it's a haunted house. The spot is fairly well known locally for being a haunted destination for supernatural enthusiasts, even offering tickets for overnight stays for amateur ghost hunters to try and find the truth. And that's exactly what had happened to an anonymous Redditor who posted this shocking footage of her and her husband and the rest of the tour being charged at by some unknown force. And this footage is relentless, let me tell you. Now, the Redditor blessed us with a little backstory, saying she had bought the tickets for the tour with her husband for his birthday as a gift, and immediately said the two of them began to feel uncomfortable as they disembarked on the tour. Long, empty hallways in the dark, droning sounds, and ghost stories told from the tour guide all contributed to a sense of dread. Her husband had told her that the entire time they'd been walking through the manor, he had felt something grabbing onto his arm, as if it was like a spider web that had been rubbing against, and whenever he'd adjust, he'd find nothing there. Now, eventually the tour made its way to a hallway on the 3rd floor, and when they started to hear footsteps by the nurse's station that grew louder, heavier, they found the walls and floors shaking, and something sent her husband flying. The two of them ran to the office, shaking with pure fear. They looked over the surveillance footage to try and determine what had happened, but all they were left with was more questions and what was seemingly an invisible presence knocking them all over. So what do you think? It seems pretty difficult to fake whatever had transpired here. I don't know how much you know about pratfalls, but they're not terribly easy to land, not terribly easy to make yourself fall on command. Do you think that was really a poltergeist caught on camera? Let me know down below, because I think this is one of the spookier pieces of paranormal footage I've seen in at least 30 seconds.
off our list, we have Claude Monet in 5th place. Yep, the famed artist himself. If you're not familiar with his work, I'd recommend looking up Impression Sunrise, which is the painting that gave the name to the French Impressionism art movement, or his Water Lily series. Most of his work is made up of stunning landscapes, but I think Woman with a Parasol is my personal favorite of his. But you all came here for a ghosty moment, not for me to wax poetic about art, so let's hop into it. In 2015, the Cleveland Museum of Art was installing a new temporary exhibit from the Royal Academy of Arts in London titled Painting the Modern Garden, Monet to Matisse. The director of architecture was taking photographs to make sure everything looked, according to plan, when she noticed a figure showing up on an empty balcony. The photo in question shows a man with a long white beard, sporting a hat like one Monet was fond of wearing, and looking very much like the artist who was fond of painting his gardens at Giverny. Oh, forgot to mention, Monet was a very passionate horticulturalist on top of being a fantastic painter. The public communications associate who made a public statement on the photograph, Kelly Nataro, has claimed time and time again that the photo is not a hoax, not retouched in any way, and that many more sightings of Monet have been reported since by guests visiting the exhibit. The museum is home to other ghosties as well, with stories told of a little boy running through the gallery dressed in fashions from 1916 and a man in gray staring at the portrait of Jean Gabriel before disappearing into it. Night guards have reported their flashlights flickering on and off in the West Wing, and there's a mirror where visitors report seeing a man standing, but when they turn around, no one's there. Fascinating to me that Monet chose a small museum in Cleveland to appear in, and not the museum in Paris that's, dedicated to only his art. Maybe he felt cozy amongst all the other ghosts. Or perhaps he's traveling the world to make sure his art is safe? Let me know in the comments what you think. In 4th place, we have the Grey Lady of Hampton Court Palace. I guess I should probably introduce her formally to begin with, Dame Sybil Penn. She was a servant at Hampton Court to 4 Tudor monarchs, being the nurse of Prince Edward and also Elizabeth I, nursing her through smallpox before succumbing to it herself in 1562. Sightings of her ghost began being reported in 1829, when the church of the palace was rebuilt and her tomb was moved. I'd probably be ticked as well if I had been resting for that long and then was disturbed. I'm pretty cranky as a person if you wake me up from a deep sleep. Trust me. Once upon a time, I accidentally roared at a friend who was trying to wake me up. Not my finest moment. Anywho, soon after being so rudely disturbed from her grave, strange noises of a person working a spinning wheel were heard through a wall at Hampton Court, which led to the discovery of a previously unknown chamber containing an antique spinning wheel. My inner fairy tale nerd is screaming right now about Charles Perrault. Don't mind me. The photograph we're specifically discussing today was taken in 2015 by Holly Hampshire, age 12, who thought she was taking, a fairly routine picture of her cousin Brooke McGee, also 12, during a day out at the 16th century home while in the King's apartments. Just gotta capture those selfies. The girls didn't realize what they had encountered at the time and only made the discovery when looking through their photos a day later. Okay, now before anyone calls bull on this, it's pretty dang realistic. I know I still haven't looked through every photo I took on my most recent vacation, and those photos are almost a week old now. The photograph shows a tall woman with dark flowing hair, cloaked in a full-length black and gray gown. This is the only time someone has been able to successfully capture her on camera, but she's been spotted many times over the years. Just don't confuse her with any of Henry VIII's wives, since they're also quite fond of haunting the place on a regular basis, with Jane Seymour and Catherine Howard being the most commonly spotted. Jane can be found on the Silver Stick Stairs, which once led to the room where she met her unfortunate end after giving birth to the perfect heir, while wild child Catherine can be heard screaming through the haunted gallery, where it's believed that she broke free of her guards after her initial arrest in a failed attempt to reach her husband to plead for her life. Hey, maybe the Now Museum should play host to a touring cast of 6 to see what'll happen. I'd be willing to fly out for that. In 3rd place, we have the Brown Lady. I swear this isn't going to turn into a list of spooky ladies identified by the color of their gowns. I promise. According to legend, the Brown Lady of Raynham Hall is the ghost of Dorothy Walpole, the sister of Robert Walpole, who is generally regarded as the first Prime Minister of Great Britain. She was the second wife of Charles Townshend, who was notorious for his violent temper. The story says that when Charles discovered that his wife had committed adultery with Lord Wharton, he punished her by locking her in her rooms in the family home, which is, you guessed it, Raynham Hall. She remained there until her death in 1726 from smallpox. The first recorded claim of a sighting of the ghost was by Lucia C. Stone during a gathering at Christmas of 1835 when she observed the Brown Lady because of the dated dress she wore. The following evening, another guest claimed to have seen the Brown Lady again, later reporting that on this occasion he was drawn to the specter's empty eye sockets, which were dark in the glowing face. These sightings led to some staff permanently leaving Raynham Hall, and you know what? Valid. The next reported sighting was made in 1836 by Captain Frederick Marriott, a good friend of Charles Dickens and the author of a series of popular sea novels. It is said that Frederick specifically requested that he spend the night in the most haunted room of Raynham Hall to prove his theory that the haunting was caused by local smugglers to keep people away from the area, and not by an actual ghost. The first 2 nights he slept with a personal safety bang device under his pillow and encountered nothing. If you didn't get what I'm referring to, just ask someone in the comments. On the 3rd night, his final evening, 2 young men knocked at his door very late at night as he was undressing to go to bed and asked him to step over to their room at the other end of the corridor and give them his opinion on a collector's item that had just arrived. As they were leaving the room, he brought his personal safety device, joking that it was in case he met the brown lady. When the inspection of the item was over, the young men declared that they would accompany him back, joking yet again about the brown lady. And this is where I warn y'all, if you tempt fate, fate will deliver. The corridor was long and dark, since the lights had already been extinguished by that point in the night, but as the group reached the middle of the corridor, they saw the glimmer of a lamp coming towards them from the other end, and assumed it was from one of the women in the home visiting a nursery. For context, the bedroom doors in that corridor faced each other, and each room had a double door with a space between, as is the case in many old-fashioned homes. Frederick felt uncomfortable being undressed around women, so out of modesty, slept within one of the outer doors with the guys, in order to conceal himself until the lady should have passed by. As my roomie would say, what a distinguished gentleman. He watched her approaching nearer and nearer through the crack of the door until she was close enough for him to distinguish the colors and style of her outfit, and he recognized the figure as the brown lady. He had his finger on the trigger of his device and was about to demand that the ghost stop and give the reason for its presence there, when the figure halted of its own accord before the door, and while holding the lighted lamp she carried to her features, grinned in a malicious and diabolical manner at him. Ooh la la. This act infuriated Frederick, prompting him to leap into the corridor and discharge the device in her face. The figure instantly disappeared in the tiny, kaboom, passed through the outer door of the room on the opposite side of the corridor and lodged in the panel of the inner one. Frederick never attempted to interfere again, so I'll give him a common sense point for that. The brown lady was caught on camera on September 19th of 1936 when Captain Hubert C. Prevand, a London-based photographer working for Country Life magazine, and his assistant, Indre Shira, were taking photographs of Raynham Hall for an article. They claimed that they had already taken a photograph of the hall's main staircase and were setting up to take a second when Indre saw a vapory form slowly taking on the appearance of a woman moving down the stairs towards them. Captain Hubert quickly took the cap off the lens while Indre pressed the trigger to activate the camera's flash. Later, when the negative was developed, the now famous image of the brown lady was revealed. The ghostly experience and photograph of the brown lady was published in Country Life magazine on December 26th of 1936, January 4th, 1937 edition of Life magazine. In second place, we have a photo of John DeFeo. Now y'all know how much I love talking about Ed and Lorraine Warren's cases, so this should come as a shock to no one. If anyone needs a quick briefing on the Amityville Horror House and not the movie, here goes it. On November 13th of 1974, during the very early morning hours, Ronald DeFeo Jr. ended his entire family and claimed that the demonic voices told him to do it. I'm talking both parents and 4 siblings. Look, I can't say that I've never joked about ending family members when I'm frustrated, but this is a bit too extreme for my liking. Oh, and about a year after that slaughter, a new family moved into the home, but fled after just 28 days, claiming it was haunted beyond any way to live in it, describing slime oozing from the walls, windows that would suddenly shatter, instances of levitation, and more. I'd be here for like an hour if I went into full detail. The image I'd like to highlight today was captured by Gene Campbell, a professional photographer who was part of the team who worked with paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren, who were called in by the Lutz family during the horrors they experienced while, still trying to live in the home. Gene had set up an automatic camera that took infrared pictures to capture the second floor landing during the night. It features what appears to be a young boy with white eyes, believed to be John, who is peeking out of a doorway. George Lutz revealed the Amityville ghost boy photo. George Lutz revealed this photo on the Merv Griffin show back in 1979, 3 years after it was taken. In first place, we have Mary Lee of Waverly Hills Sanatorium. In the early 1900s, the warm, wet weather of Kentucky was the perfect breeding ground for tuberculosis, pushing all of the local hospitals' capacities way past their breaking point. The Waverly Hills Sanatorium first opened its doors on July 26 of 1910 as a 2-story wooden structure built to house about 50 patients, but in October of 1926, the hospital had expanded to a 400-bed capacity to accommodate a continual influx of patients as a now 5-story facility. The sanatorium first opened in the midst of a widespread epidemic, and we all know how epidemics and pandemics go, right? Because of the highly contagious nature of the disease, extreme quarantine measures were required for patients and staff alike, meaning Waverly Hills had to function as an isolated island. The self-sufficient facility produced its own food, raised animals, and ran a functioning post office. Also featured a 500-foot-long tunnel that traveled from the first floor of the building to the bottom of the hill. Supplies could be brought in from the bottom, and the countless bodies of deceased patients were discreetly removed from the top. With the eventual introduction of a vaccine, case numbers plummeted, and in 1961 the sanatorium was officially closed, but the pain and suffering of so many souls has left a permanent mark upon the site. And that's where we come in. The photo in question was taken on September 10th of 2006 by Tom Halstead during an overnight investigation of the facility by Missouri Paranormal Research on the 4th floor of the main hospital building at around 7 a.m. If you'd like me to be technical about it, the camera used was a Pentax K1000 35mm film camera with a ProMaster 56000 extendable flash. Black and white 400 ISO film was used, and according to data provided, the camera settings were at about 1/60th of a second speed with an f-stop of 5.6. As one can see, on the right of the frame there appears to be the apparition of a young woman with dark hair and a white nightgown or dress. With the death toll from the institution being well into the thousands, one could worry that she would never be identified. But we do have a lead. She is believed to be a young girl named Mary Lee, based on a photograph that was found of a similar looking girl signed "Love Mary Lee" on the back. One source claims that she is the legendary nurse who allegedly went the way of the rope necklace in room 502 after learning she was pregnant by a doctor and had tuberculosis. If you visit the sanatorium today for one of their ghost walks, you'll be sure to encounter her amongst the spooky residents that never left.